My name is Dr. Ian Buchanan, author of King, a four-part leadership framework for Black men, and you're listening to Black Men Sundays.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corey Sylvester Murray, and we're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about finance, and we're talking about business. And before we introduce today's guest, and before we introduce our Black Men Sunday Spotlight, I must let everybody know Black Men Sundays is hosting a turkey drive. We're trying to get turkeys for 50 plus families in Central Florida. If you want to donate, email me at Corey, Corie, at blackmensundays.com. I'll send you a link and you can make a donation. We're trying to make sure there's no families out there without a turkey this season, especially with this inflation. All right, my brother Eric from Hunts Vegas. Who do you have for our Black Men Sunday Spotlight, my brother?
Hey, thanks, Corey. I appreciate the intro, man. Man, today's spotlight, because we're in football season. So I figured let's do something that's a little fun that we all use during football season, and that's the potato chip. You guys have to know that the potato chip was actually invented by a Black brother by the name of George Crumb. Let me give you some little knowledge on that. Man, there are a few stories about the invention of the potato chip. The most reliable ones is all centered around this brother named George Crumb, a famous Black chef in the 19th century who served the wealthiest Americans and eventually opened up his own widely successful restaurant. Now, born, he was George Speck around the year 1824 to a Native American mother and African American father. Now, he worked as a hunter and guide in upper New York State. Now, during this time, his reputation was he was a cook who earned a position at the Moon's Lake House restaurant in Sartalaca Lake, where wealthy New England patrons built their summer camps. Now, he became famous for his unique specialties with venison and wild game, and he was encouraged to continue experimenting in the kitchen. Now, no one is certain about exactly how the potato chip was invented, but some claim it was from Crumb's sister, who was working in the same restaurant. Either way, Crumb's experimenting led to the refinement and popularization of the potato chip, which became a local and eventually a regional draw in all of the New England area. That's my spotlight today, Mr. George Crumb, the invention of the potato chip. Hey, because we all like them, right? Just like the Lay's, you can't just stop with one.
Yeah,
Or is that
yeah.
Pringles? I think that's Pringles, isn't it?
Hey, man, I don't eat potato chips, man. I'm trying to get my stomach down a little bit. But you mentioned venison and game. I
Yeah,
feel
you don't
like,
know about
yeah,
this. I forgot you.
The mighty rattlers gonna come and y'all gonna get snake bitten. And then we're gonna grill out at your house in Hunts Vegas. What's up?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Definitely, man. Good to see you, man. I see the weather's looking good in Huntsville. Is it starting to cool down a little bit? Because it's still a little warm here, but we cooling down in Orlando.
Well, I'm not in Huntsville again. I'm at my mom's house in Talladega, which is about 80 miles east of Birmingham. So it's still a little cool here. The temperature here right now, last time I checked, like 68 degrees. But this morning it got about 40 degrees this morning when we first woke up. So it was a little chilly. I think I had to turn the heat on a little bit because I said I wasn't going to, but it was kind of chilly in there this morning. So
Oh man, I gotta relax because I thought it was chilly at my house,
mhm.
but I walked outside, cut my yard. It was about like 64, 65. I was like, it's a little nippy out here. We used to like
Yeah,
85, 95. So,
right.
you talking about them 40s and all. So y'all got
Yeah,
us beat
man.
because my AC's still on. It's on like 75 right now too. So
Hmm.
but yeah, man, I appreciate that spotlight, my brother. This is what we all here for. We here for our special guest. We have Dr. Ian Buchanan on here. This brother's from East St. Louis, Illinois. I'm not gonna lie. I thought East St. Louis was in Missouri. I got me a history lesson right before we got on this show. This brother's the CEO of the NIA Education Group. This brother's also the author of King, a four-part leadership framework for Black men. And this Black Men Sunday, so we're gonna have to
Yes, sir.
have him crack that book open a little bit
Let's do it.
because Yeah, we're gonna have to have you crack that book open a little bit, because the thing about it is, this Black Men Sundays, we're trying to get the lessons learned. This brother here has also had teaching and leadership roles in school systems and nonprofits. This brother comes to us decorated. This brother was the teacher for American Principal of the Year Award, the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals, Consummate Professional of the Year Award. Come on now. This brother worked in Memphis. This brother worked in the school district of University City, Missouri. He was the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. So he's here. He's here for real today. So without further ado, Dr. Ian Buchanan, my brother, welcome to Black Men Sundays. How you doing?
Good brothers, how we doing today, man? It's good to be here. I'm excited to have this conversation. Iron sharpens iron, brother. So I'm excited, man, to jump on in with these true, real brothers today, man, on a Sunday.
Yes, sir. This is not just a Sunday, it's a Black Men Sunday.
Black Men Sunday.
That's right. That's right. So we want to jump right into this, man. And one thing I forgot to mention too in the intro, this brother had teaching roles K through 12. We talking adult basic education, undergrad and graduate level. So yeah, this brother comes to us highly regarded. But let's jump in right quick. We talking about this Black Men Sundays. We talk about generational wealth, finance, and business. So you're the CEO of the NIA Education Group. Educate us. What is this all about?
NIA Education Group is, well, first of all, again, I'm honored to have this conversation today. And so NIA Education Group, so I have been doing the education thing since 1995. I started off as a high school mathematics teacher, taught everything between algebra and calculus. And so I have been doing this education thing for a long time, working with this within the system, graduate school, literacy coach, assistant superintendent, but I still felt like I was in a box and I really wasn't able to live out my true purpose in the education game. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna be real strategic, but I'm gonna get out here and carve my own way and do what I need to do for the benefit of Black and brown kids, man. And so I started NIA Education Group. And the purpose of NIA Education Group is to help leaders, great leaders, become their greatest leadership selves. And we do that through a couple of different ways. One you mentioned is my book. It's a leadership framework for Black men. So I do a lot of leadership cultivation. I am a coach of teachers. So I work directly with teachers to help them get better. I do all kinds of talent management work for districts. And man, I'm just trying to change the game, man. I'm just trying to change the world. But the role that I was in was great, but it didn't allow me to really maximize my impact, man. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Definitely. And your business, NIA Education Group, researching you, I realized, hey, your daughter's named Nia. HBCU grad from Alabama A&M. It's Florida A&M on this side. So why did you name the business after your daughter? Like, what was the impetus of that?
Yeah, interesting question. I didn't name my business after my daughter. I named my business after a purpose. And she just happened to be in alignment with that purpose. And so Nia is a key Swahili term that means purpose. And so I wanted her to understand that there's a greater purpose for her, but also this business is a purpose-driven organization. And really our goal is two things. First and foremost, we are here to slash the tires of white supremacy. That's number one. Well, actually number zero is to help us heal and get better. And so, but we do that focus on developing leadership. And so we are a purpose-driven organization. We're not all about the loot. We're about trying to change the game. And so NIA, that term, that Kiswahili term reminds me that I have a deeper mission and a deeper vision.
I got you, man. I'm just trying to warm the bus up, get you comfortable.
Yes, sir.
You kind of took it to the collective versus individual. So I'm kind of like, oh, you ready to go there? We can go there right now, man. Because I was kind of warming the bus up. But since you kind of took it there, I feel like in the Black community, we're more, and my brother Eric mentioned it last week, we're competitive with each other. Hey, man, I got the Gucci, I got the Louis, man, I got the 5, I got the $1 million house, da 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 da. But we don't collaborate enough as Black men, as Black women, as people of color. We don't collectively collaborate, and I see a lot of times people are saying, the people at the bottom of competition, the people at the top collaborate. So I'm collaborating with you right now, but let's talk collective versus individual, the collective impact, because I feel like as Black people, we're so competitive that it's really our downfall when we're talking about achieving generational wealth to get out of the generational poverty that we've been going through for decades.
Yeah. I don't think it's about, I don't know that there's anything wrong with competition. I think it's what you're competing for or what you're competing against. So I think part of our issue is that we're competing against each other when we should be competing to be the best at who we are so we can have the greater impact on whatever the greater good is. We can agree, align on a common set of goals. And I think it's really about being competitive to see how well you can use your gangster, professional or personal gangster, in order to move us forward. And so I think that we just need a mind shift. It's not us against us. And I think many times we do that. And we all have been guilty of that, whether it's, I think we've all been guilty of that, but I think it's important for us to check each other and check ourselves.
Okay, definitely. And you're the author of King, a 4-part leadership framework for Black men. And I also, looking you up, also see that you also have a master class coming up. But let's talk about the book first. Like, what was the impetus behind writing that book?
Yeah, man. So a couple things. Y'all might not even know about this thing called hip hop, but just in case you do, there's this guy by the name of Andre 3000. And at one point he got on the stage and said, "You already know, the South got something to say." And so that energy that people who are underrepresented need to have a voice, I think is one of the things that really inspired me to write this book. I was like, Black men got something to say. There are too many times when our voice is not central. Somebody's writing on behalf of us, writing for us. But as a Black man who is from the hood, who also has had a chance to experience some different things, I wanted to put something in the culture for us. And so that's really how the book came across. Plus, like I'm no longer in my 30s, I'm no longer in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. And so I wanted to have something that was going to connect the uncles like myself to the nephews. And so that's really one of the reasons why I wrote the book.
Definitely. And I know we're going to have to buy the book, but this Black Men Sunday. So just give us a little taste, give us a little taste of the book. Like, give us maybe a tip or two from the book.
Yeah. So King is a 4-part framework. And one of the things that teachers, especially elementary teachers, like to do, they like to use these things called acronyms. I think that's what it's called, where every letter means something. And so K, know the king within. That is, have a deep sense of self. Number one, most important thing, I, inspire others to collective greatness. How can you coach, model, cheerlead, support others for the greater good? N is navigate to the north. That means have a value system, a set of morals, a set of beliefs that drives what you do. And then G is gravitate to the great, or as some might say, gravitate to the gangsters. And that means, how do you surround yourself by the people who can push, challenge, support you and help you reach that next level. And so the book really lays out strategies to do that. It talks about my experiences. It talks about quotes and reflective questions that allow you to actually personalize and operationalize the principles that I'm talking about.
Great information, man. And let's transition more on the finance business side of things right now.
Yes, sir.
So, because in the intro, I mentioned that, you worked in the school system. Now, are you strictly the CEO of the NIA Education Group, or are you still in the system as well?
So I love to tell people, especially brothers who are doing this work, I walked away from a job that paid more than 150K. Yeah, I just walked away. Yeah. That's because I wanted to bet on myself. And I did it very strategically. And I do understand that that's part of, this generational wealth. So basically, to answer your question, I am a full-time edupreneur. So I kill what I eat, or as they say, I kill for my meat. And so I've learned a lot as a evolving edupreneur. This is I'm going into my 3rd year as a person who's doing it all solo, with the support, of course, but I am a full-time CEO of my own organization.
Wow, that's great information. That kind of leads to my next question. I have brothers that, I have alliances with that are, make good money, healthy money, as they call it, over, 150 plus, they call it healthy money. You have a handsome salary is what they call it, actually. But I have a brother where he basically has his own LLC, own nonprofit, has everything set up, but he has this phenomenal job, new position. And he's like, man, you know what? I love what I do, but I feel like it's my purpose in life to quit this job and be the CEO of this business that he already has. It's already running. It's just not running at the level that he wants it to because he's not able to dedicate his full time to that. So what advice would you give for a brother like him and for other brothers like him in his situation as well?
I don't, what I can do is share some of my steps. First, I cultivated, recultivated, restarted relationships that I had that might benefit me in the entrepreneurial space. So that's one thing. So reconnected, generated a list of about 200 people that I knew I needed to say, hey, I'm transitioning into this new world. I want to do it full time. Can we have an opportunity to collaborate? That's one thing. The other thing is I did actually take an entrepreneurship class because I wanted to make sure that I understood the science of the work. And so I took an entrepreneurship class that helped me learn the game. The other thing that I did was I stacked my loot. I stacked money so I didn't have this scarcity mindset when I branched out to be like, oh my God, I got to jump back in the game because I don't have enough money. So I stacked enough money to be very comfortable. I didn't really know this at first, but man, I had an opportunity to experience Dame Dash for about 3 hours a couple of weeks ago. And just the belief in yourself and to understand that you're going to have these hills and valleys, but to still just be consistent and keep believing in yourself and try to have righteous steps. I don't think you can really lose, man. I don't think you really lose. Modify your lifestyle a little bit, but I don't think you can really lose.
Okay, but you mentioned, you stacked your loot up. So that kind of I'm telling you, I have this already written down. You just kind of setting the stage for me though. But for brothers that are looking to take that leap financially, how do you know when you're really financially ready to do that? Because like once you call it a day and they throw you that going away party, that's it. Ain't no coming back. So how do you know when you're financially ready to really jump in?
I think for me on a practical level, for me, it was 6 to 8 months. That was just the number that I made up. How did I get that number? I don't really know, but I just knew I needed enough loot. But I also, again, I took the entrepreneurship class. So I did some real serious forecasting. And I also cultivated and took a small on-ramp before I jumped out on my own. So it was very strategic, but I think you need to determine, is your income going to sustain the lifestyle that you want? I think that's one thing. And then do you have enough savings to last through the downtime? So I think it's just a couple basic questions you got to answer. And I also think it's a matter of preparation, eliminating debt, those kinds of things that, all of those things are crucial.
Okay. Yeah. Great information. Because you said 6 to 8 months. So are you saying 6 to 8 months, meaning collectively all of your bills per month for 6 to 8 months, or just the mortgage?
Yeah, I mean all of your bills that are mandatory. Yeah, I mean those bills. Yeah, the stuff that you gotta pay.
Are you enjoying yourself on Black Men Sundays, brother?
Hey man, I'm having a great time. I'm so excited that you all actually took the initiative and had the vision and the courage to do this and to keep it going. And I just think it's so important because you never know who you're gonna touch. And so kudos and respect to what you all do. And I'm definitely a fan. So much respect, man. Much respect.
Yeah, definitely. But let me ask you this question, man, because I get people in my community that, why is it called Black Men Sundays? Why can't it be called All Men Sundays? Sundays with Corey. Why does it have to be called Black Men Sundays? I said, well, I didn't see a problem with it. But why do you think, and really, why do you know, but why do you think that there's a problem with the word Black men and then we tie it to Sundays? Like, why is that such a negative thing?
Hey man, I'm telling you, I just spent 3 hours with Dame Dash, man. And so you asking me the wrong question on the wrong day because I'm about to snap.
Hey man, I told you I was warming the bus up, so I'm dry. We in drive now.
Man.
We're going about 50. Let's go.
Yeah, man. You already know, man. Hey, the Black man is one of the most feared. The intelligent, strategic Black man is one of the most feared species on the planet. And so the fact that we try to come together and engage and love on one another and build on one another on Sunday, which this society considered to be a holy day, is just awesome. And like I said, my job is to slash the tires of white supremacy. And so when we talk about Black Men Sundays, that means we come together first to heal, number one, and then secondly to elevate. And so, man, hey, too bad I don't use profanity on Sundays. I'm trying to be like Dion and I use profanity, but yeah, they lucky they caught me on a Sunday because I really go off. But man, they just can and yeah, they can't handle this, man. We too powerful. They cannot handle this.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here like, this is a wealth, finance, generational wealth conversation. So what's the problem here? But I've noticed, like, since I've been doing this turkey drive, starting to hand those flyers out, some people are kind of giving me a little kick, like, I don't know if I can sponsor you. I don't know if I can associate with you because of the name. I don't want other groups that mean other things to say, well, you let Black Men Sundays on, so you need to let, another group do their thing as well. That kind of threw me off guard because I'm like, okay, we're trying to give turkeys to 50 families in the city for free. You know how much turkeys cost with inflation?
Hey, man, hey, they said the same thing about the Black Panthers, and people model their support structures after the Black Panthers. Some of the same work that you're doing in terms of free food and those kinds of philanthropic things. Even when I wrote my book, they kept saying, well, why do you have to call it about Black men? Because when we get pulled over and we Black, we got the same problem. That's why, and then, man, all money ain't good money. So, if some of those people don't want to support, hey, man, we get it back another way.
Definitely, man. And I was going to say, man, I'm gonna come back to that in a sec, but I'm gonna get back on the financial tip. You're a family man. You own any properties?
Interesting. So I first got beat up like man, was that 98 when the big crash happened, or right around 98? Whatever time that was, man, I bought so much property. I was buying it like it was Monopoly. And I wasn't wise enough to be very thoughtful about where I bought the property and the ability for the property to grow or not. And, they had all those balloon loans and all of that kind of stuff. So I got caught up. Long story short, I actually had to file bankruptcy. And so it really threw me for a loop. So I've learned the game. Now I have investment property. I have vacation property. That's all I have right now. But I'm looking for other property investments, but just being very thoughtful about the value. Obviously, I have my personal home, but I've moved from city to city too. So, but yeah, so I have my home, I have some vacation property, but I've also become smarter about investment properties.
Definitely. You do any stocks, any bonds, any of that? 'Cause I hear the bonds are back now.
Well, you know what? I haven't yet, man. I'm really trying to figure out how to diversify what I do. But I know one of the questions is really how do you generate how do you create generational wealth? But I was
He beat me to it. He beat me.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
my next question. Come on, I ain't even got to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
it now. Go ahead, brother.
I thought about this a lot. And I don't know if you all saw this Forbes article where this family bought a Basquiat painting for $19,000 in 1984, and they sold it for $110 million. Let me say it again. They invested $19,000 in 1984, and a few years ago, they made $110 million off of one piece of art. Just sit
Wow.
on that. And so that really has kind of reshaped me thinking about investments and how I invest my money. And so I've really started to educate myself about the art collection game, taking classes, being a student of the work, being a student of different artists, investing big and small, and really thinking about ways to set my family up for generational wealth.
Yeah, because really, that's what this show is all about. It's about setting up generational wealth because, we've had several guests on that say, by 2053, the Black wealth is going to be almost to zero unless we collectively come together and create. So that's another reason why I made this podcast as well. Without even knowing that statistic, I just made the podcast because I'm tired of hearing brothers say, oh, I didn't know. Okay, well, now. So if you not following these teachings, it's just on you. So, but as we try to combat this wealth gap, and obviously in years past, with the systematic issues, with the redlining and things of that sort. So we're still playing catch up. A lot of people don't really get that. They just think, okay, we're all on the same page from birth, and we just take off at a race and we're just running 100. But it's not that. You're like, they kind of have an advantage. So I'm saying, like, for us now to achieve generation wealth, because I really believe you can't blame it on other races now. You have the internet. There's too many avenues of entrepreneurship out there to say, oh, I don't have any opportunities. So what do you say to that?
Well, the old Kanye said racism's still alive. They just be concealing it. And so I think that we do still have obstacles. We don't have excuses, but we still do have obstacles. And I think we need to be aware of those. But I also think we, like you are alluding to, we do have opportunities, and we have easier access to information. I don't know if we have easier access to capital or credit, but we still may have access to information. And people say knowledge is power. That's one of the biggest lies ever told. Knowledge is not power. Just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you have power. I mean, if you want to maintain power, you need some knowledge. Trump dumbass didn't have knowledge. Not in my opinion anyway, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, man, you made me forget what I was even talking about, man. You making me hot over here, man.
Hey, welcome to Black Men Sundays, brother. You here
Yeah,
now?
man.
So
Yeah.
no, finish what you were saying though. You were saying, you were obviously you mentioned Trump. I thought that was like okay, but
That set anybody back. But
Yeah, man.
Yeah, go ahead,
but
Eric.
the thing is, you was going into the fact of knowledge itself is not power. I think you was trying to go to the fact the way you use the knowledge is where the power is.
Absolutely right.
Correct?
Absolutely right. Yeah. My undergrad degree was in industrial engineering. And one of the things we talk about is the difference between potential power and basically kinetic power, or potential energy and kinetic energy. And so potential energy is that stuff that, it can go, but you ain't hit the go button yet. You know what I'm saying? And then you actually have the kinetic energy. That's when you actually move and do something. So just because you got knowledge, that's potential energy. You got to make it happen. And so I do think we have look at all the stuff we getting on the internet. That doesn't mean we have the opportunity to do enough with it. We can. Yeah, we can. Sounds good.
Let's talk about the energy of Florida. Our governor, as I see you have books behind you, but and I see that, obviously you were in the education system, high level education system. What's your perspective on a governor taking books off the shelf that are needed to aid our community?
Needed to aid our community, needed to give students and older people an opportunity to see themselves in text, an opportunity for us to see the world from a fuller point of view, an opportunity to affirm our identity as Black people and our accomplishments, an opportunity to connect kids to literacy in ways that they might not be interested in, an opportunity for racism to thrive and for them to try to keep the truth away from us, to keep us down, an opportunity for even to keep white folks unaware of what's going on. And I teach a class at the university called Literacy, Language, Pedagogy, and Power. And next week, my topic is banned books. Oh, I cannot wait to hit it. Oh, I'm so excited. But Florida, y'all suck. But it's not that much difference in Missouri or anywhere else. These races are racisting right about now. I just made that word up, but these races are racisting right now, man. So it's important that we have media and opportunities like this to try to interrupt some of this, man. So I respect and appreciate what you guys are doing, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that ties right into my next question. Do you believe that potentially these books are being taken away as a way to preserve generational poverty and diminish generational wealth for Black people from a historic perspective?
There's always been intentional efforts to keep us where we are. Whether you talk about COINTELPRO, whether you talk about how they pimped Freeway Rick Ross to be the point person for pretty much all of the drugs that came to the United States. So I don't doubt any deliberate activity on behalf of the United States government. I honestly don't think these dumbasses that smart though. I don't think they really have that ability to even think that far. I think they're it's a need to preserve what exists and preserve whiteness and white supremacy. But I don't think I don't think I don't think they're that smart. That's bottom line.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just figured, I take it there because I just feel like as we go, a lot of new laws and things of sort of coming out that are really attacking the education system.
You know what? Yeah, and I think you're right about that. And maybe they are that smart because they are creating policies and procedure. I mean, they are tattooing this in the fabric of our society, and so it's systematic racism. Is really what it is because it is part of the system, and and it just causes so many different contradictions. For example, in some ways, charter schools give Black and brown leaders the opportunity to do some things that are creative, that are different, that are outside of the traditional box. However, there might be some other ways that charters might be problematic. And so there are just so many contradictions around all of this stuff.
Yeah, man. And you come to us highly decorated, man, worked in Memphis as the founding managing director of the Parent Leadership and Advocacy Institute, which is a nonprofit empowering parents to influence change.
Yep.
Let's talk about that for a little bit, because I feel like a lot of times, we drop the kids off, and then we expect the teachers to do most of the work. But what ways can we empower parents?
There are so many ways. I think one is to make sure they're aware of the current reality. So on a smaller scale, are you very clear about what your child is doing? And do you understand all of the intricacies by which the child is being assessed, graded, those kinds of things, promoted? So I think one is the individual. The next piece is the school. Do you really understand how well the school is or is not doing? And do you understand the issues and the structures? So I'm talking about parent awareness first. So I think the awareness piece is important. Then you need to think about at the state level, how are decisions, or at even the school board level, how are decisions made? Who do they benefit and who do they not benefit? Then I think you need to be thinking about federal and state legislation. So just the awareness piece, but then the other part is the empowerment piece. And so how do we equip parents? Because there's a science to making change. There are some practices, some protocols, some structures that you can use to empower change. Barack Obama used a protocol called the public narrative is what it is. And it's a tried and true political communication strategy that organizations use. The point that I'm making is simply this. We can engage and inform parents and teach parents how to use those strategies so they can make change in real ways. So the first part is the awareness piece, getting people pissed off, helping them understand the reality, then empowering them to actually make change, but not lead them toward change or try to guide them in ways that they think they have agency, but they really don't, because that's what happens a lot of times in education. But to actually give them power to define what liberation looks like for them, then we create schools that can allow their visions to actually take place. And that's just a complex thing to make happen.
Before I let you go, man, I definitely want to talk about the Memphis Lift, a powerful parent organization. Let's talk about the impetus of that and just what advice would you give parents based off the information that you learned from developing the Memphis Lift?
Yeah, so I came into the inception of the Memphis Lift. It was brought to the community that I was serving by a couple other organizations and a couple other leaders. But I came in at the bottom floor, and part of my job was to develop the educational programming for them. I'm a teacher, that's who I am. And so part of my job was to, again, I just talked about that awareness. I talked about those tactical skills that they could use. So part of my role was to do that. There are so many political pieces when it comes to guiding parents, because I think there's some BS in the game. I think there are times when some organizations lead parents in ways and mislead parents to think they actually are in control. That's really the point that I want to make about that. I think, again, it is empowering parents for what purpose? And so Memphis Lift is a parent-led organization that is really an independent, autonomous thinking body. It takes a while to get to that point, especially when you're financed with other people's money. And so I think when we talk about making change and stuff like that, where the money comes matters. Where the money comes from matters. And so we need to be thoughtful about the ways that the money can manipulate and guide the movement, even with parent organizations. But Memphis Lift, led by an awesome group of people, especially a sister by the name of Sarah Carpenter. But I think that just to finish up, the thing that I've learned the most is all we got to do is help parents with some of the technical skills to lead organizations. After that, they got it. Parents can do whatever they need to do. Sometimes in Black and brown communities, we underestimate the power of parents, especially if they don't necessarily have the education level that we have. Parents got it. They just need a little support. We need to be with and not to.
Wow, there you have it, Dr. Ian Buchanan. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays. I know I asked you before, but did you enjoy the full experience of Black Men Sundays, my brother?
Hey, man, I'm inspired by the work that you all are doing, man. This is a big deal. And it means a lot to have the invitation. So I appreciate just being part of this kind of tapestry that you all are weaving. And I just want to just encourage you all to not underestimate the historical importance of what you all are doing.
Wow, great information. I appreciate that, my brother. It means so much to me. You touched me in the heart when you said that, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week, my brother.
Appreciate you. Take good care.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate. It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate. It's a Black Man Sunday.